Right. Yes. All right, all right, all right. Now we are live on Family Life Builders TV, where we are rebuilding homes and transforming society. So today I brought my wonderful person, my personal person, an awesome woman, a powerful woman who have done so much for young people. So
Oh,
she's going to give us a lot. We've done something together before, and it was a great time for those young people at St. Anne's. I'm sure there's going to be a great experience for everyone that will come across this video today. So I want to say welcome to all our viewers, those who will be watching this later. I want to say thank you. So let me
thank
quickly
you.
introduce to us because I brought a powerful person today. So let me quickly introduce her to my viewers before she greets you. So Kate Ekanem is an internationally trained mentor for young and emerging leaders, a project manager and advocate for girls and women rights and young writers development. In 2015, she became the first Nigerian chosen to represent the African Union at the Global Girls 20 Summit in Istanbul, Turkey. She is a Carrington Youth Fellow, a Queen Young Leader, a champion for change at the Empower Women in Alliance with the United Nations, a Ship the Startup Ambassador, Finland, Grub Street Muse, Literary Citizen Writer Award recipient, boasting, and a Dutch World Global Media Forum Award recipient in Germany. Kate is an Internet Society 25 under 25 awardee in the US, a Delha Community Volunteer Scholarship Award winner, Canada, and a Royal Commonwealth Society Associate Fellow, UK. Kate is in 2018 was the overall winner of the African Women Innovation and Entrepreneurship Forum Empowerment category, South Africa, and in 2019 Dalai Lama Fellow. Kate is the founder of Icon, formerly known as Kate Tales Foundation. Join me, everyone, as I welcome Kate Ekanem to Family Life Builders TV. Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
coming. Thank you because
Thank
when
you
we
so
called you,
much.
you answer us in that short time. You know, I just felt we should give back to these young people and
Thank you so much.
parents. So
Thank you for having me. This is such a privilege to be able to do this. I knew we did something like this in the past, and it was so beautiful. You're always coming up with this initiative to be able to help children. You've always done this a long time ago. I've known you for a long time. So thank you so much for bringing this up again. It's
you're
an honor
welcome,
to be here.
sis.
Thank you for
You're
all that
welcome,
you do.
sis. You're welcome. Thank you so much too.
Thank you.
So today, let's dive into it because I need people to know that Kate is an awesome speaker and she's gonna wow you. I promise you, she will wow you.
I hope
All
so.
right, so
That's
let's
an expectation.
start. So let's start. The first question I like to ask is, what actually inspires you into mentoring young leaders and advocating for girls?
So my background story inspires me. Usually, I believe that if you have a personal story that influences you in some ways, that could inspire you to want to either be the change you want to see or be against the change you wish you had. So I grew up in a community that really did not provide a lot of opportunities for young people, especially for girls. So it's something I thought could be possible if somebody could provide what I needed as a young girl to young people. I think that would be a way of inspiring other people to achieve those dreams that they never thought possible. So basically, my life experience is what inspired me to want to do this. And I understand that sometimes people often explain that they do not have any life experiences or background that prepares them to inspire the younger generation. But in many ways, the things that we wish for ourselves that don't come true because of certain barriers is something that we can create as a platform for other people. It's just a way of creating something for people because you never had it, and you know that if they had that opportunity, their
Mm.
life would be a little bit, better. So yes, I've always been inspired about girls empowerment from the onset, because I did not really grow up in a community that provided platforms for young girls to strive, for young girls to pursue education, and for young girls to just live their dreams freely without any restrictions. So that is what I wanted to enable in the communities across Nigeria.
Thank you so much. I really,
Yeah,
really appreciate the work you're doing, and I see the
thank you.
work you're doing. I see the work you're doing.
Yeah.
So, what's your experience like working with these young people?
Yeah. So what I've come to realize with young people is that most of the problems or most of the challenges that they confront actually emerges from their families. It's usually from a family setting before it becomes a community-based challenge. So we need to understand that the groups of the group that classify life is broken into an hierarchy order. One is a family setting, that's the family you were born into. That's your first primary group that you come to identify with as an individual. And then from that family you grow into a community, and then that community is what uphold that identity that the family has brought out. And then from the community, then we have the nation itself, the country,
Mm.
and then globally. But it always starts from the family. So with the young people that I've worked with, for the past 7 or 8 years or 9 years now, it's always a familiar problem. Either the mother did this, or the father did this, or the stepmother did this, or an uncle in the family is molesting someone, or there's something going on that the family knows about that they are not talking about. So family
Mm.
plays a vital role
Vital
in most
role.
of the challenges that young people confront in
Mm.
their communities. And for example, I like growing up in an African home, I think this is relatable to every African child. First and foremost, if you were lucky to have both father and mother still in the same, household, you would, and maybe you're the first child, or maybe you're even the last child, regardless of the status of your of the number you are in the in the children
Family.
category. It is always a lot of expectations. There's
Mm.
always a lot that is expected of you, and I
Mm.
think this is something we'll be discussing today, and being
Mm.
able to address how family contribute to the challenges that people confront daily, even as they grow older.
Hmm, hmm. Thank you.
Yeah.
So as leader and advocate for those things, what do you think in your work with those children? What do you think these things which those young people, what do they wish their parents knew?
Oh, definitely. I have a long list for that. This is such an interesting section because sometimes I like that you said what do teenagers wish parent knows? Because
Mm,
we have to realize that sometimes parents do not intentionally do these things. They just don't know. They are not aware. So the
exactly.
awareness is a part of it. What should I know and what should I not know? I mean, some people don't know it. So I think number one, which I think is very prominent in a lot of African homes and also globally, not just in Nigeria or anywhere in the world, we have parents who enjoy comparing their children with others. So
Yes,
that
ma'am.
comparison is number one, where you see somebody doing something, you're like, oh, by the way, that's Mrs. Williams' child. She just graduated from medical school. She's going to get married in 3 days. What are you thinking of? What are your plans? And I think most time I think those comments are supposedly supposed to inspire that child to say, oh, my age mate is doing something. But it does actually the opposite. It destroys that child. Once you start comparing your teenagers with somebody else's teenager, first of all, you have to realize that all fingers are not equal. People
Mm-hmm.
have different destinies, people have different timing. And if your child or your teenager or your young person in your family is not doing so well, and the other person's, you know, is doing so well, it should be an opportunity for you as a parent to ask yourself questions. Where can I support this child to do something more? How am I supporting this child? What are the things that can be done right? Because you need to realize that the home where this child grows in are the influences. So if somebody's kid is doing better than your own teenager, it means there's something that might not be in place in that family. And even if
Yes.
something is not rightly done in that family, it means that you as a parent have to step up your game to support, but not to criticize and compare. Mr. A is doing that, Mr. B is doing that, or your mates are doing that. That's a very destructive statement to make in terms of helping teenagers become who they really want to be. The second one is silence. I think this is very important because now we are in an age where we're talking about sexual harassment, we're talking about, molestation, we're talking about sexual assault, and all of these important things that are beginning to come out now. Not that it's never existed before, it has always been there. But thankfully now it's becoming a topic where we are now talking about it. And like I said from the beginning of this live program, most of these things stems from the home. It starts from
Correct.
somewhere and then
Correct.
becomes a community problem. So
Correct.
we, especially in African homes and even across the world, let me just stop saying African home. When your child or your young teenager between the age of maybe 12, 14, 15, 16, a little bit upward, comes to you and says, "Oh, mom, my uncle touched me in a way," and then you don't even let that child finish. You're like, "Oh, no, 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 that's okay. It's just your uncle." No, "Oh, that's okay. That's your father's brother." "Oh, that's okay. That's my brother. Your uncle can't hurt you." So we realize that parents don't even give teenagers the opportunity to express their discomfort before concluding that statement on their behalf. Remember, it's not your experience, it's their experience. So
Yes, ma'am.
you need to honor that period and let them talk. The fact that a teenager comes to you and say, "Oh, something is happening to me," means that they trust you as a parent to protect them. And when you cannot offer that protection, they will go somewhere else looking for that same
Mm-hmm.
protection.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be destructive because you're not sure they will get exactly what they are looking for. And now,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to broaden it a little bit because I'm talking more about parents that have, kids that have parents and all of that. Now I want to broaden it a little more to people who are not living with their parents, or to people who are living with mentors and guardians. So I've read a lot of books. I experienced what it means to live with someone who wasn't even my mother. So I know that sometimes it's challenging for you to offer emotional support and all kind of support to a teenager in the house. But the least you can do is to at least listen, at least offer your attention,
Offer attention.
and let them talk, let them say what they have to say, and then you can start with whatever ways of analyzing it. And what I would say is, before you doubt any young child coming up with a problem or coming up with a challenge, at least believe them first,
Mm.
knowing that that stems from somewhere. That did not just fall from above, and that child just wakes up in the morning and like, "I'm going to go to my mom, I'm going to go to my mentor and tell them this is happening to me." That comes out of somewhere. So we need to believe the teenagers that come to us and talk about sexual harassment. We need to believe the teenagers that come and talk about somebody in the family molesting us. We need to believe the teenagers that talks about a boy in their class digging hands into where they shouldn't be putting hands in. It is your duty as a parent, as a mentor, as a guardian, as a family, to protect that child. It is your duty to believe them before you disbelieve them. So it is very important that you do not encourage silence. You want them to be
Mm.
outspoken and to talk about how they feel. Especially
Mm.
in African homes, when the child starts talking, the mother like, "Hey, don't talk again." It's very it happens a lot in our Nigerian home, when the mother, when then you're talking too much, they slap you, they say, "Oh, you're being disrespectful." You how can you say that? You're not brought up well. Well, bringing up a child well is listening to them. It's not being a god over them. Child
That's the
abuse
one.
child abuse exists. You're not a god to your child. You're a parent, and you're supposed to protect. Why God is protecting you to do that job. So you should not be criticizing and be promoting silence in where you should be, expressing your obligation of protection. So
Let me quickly say something about the issue of silence. So there's this barrier that parents build especially African parents. So they build this barrier because they want these kids to respect them. They don't want the kids to be rude. But love is actually respect. So if you're not giving me love, you are not showing me respect. So when I love you, I respect you. Because for a child, for them to understand the concept of love, it's about respect. So if I'm telling you to respect me and I'm harsh on you, how do I want you to do that? You know, we are contradicting ourselves. So if we really want these children to respect us, we must show them love. Love is that key for them to respect, not for us to build a wall and then because we don't want them to be rude to us, we want them to respect us. That's not a good idea. And another thing is, some parents themselves, especially mothers, they are not at peace with themselves, so they transfer this to these children. Themselves, they are not at peace. So when you are trying to say something, they snap because themselves. So I really need parents, mothers to work on themselves so that you don't build unnecessary walls, so that these children will have cause to, come out and tell you what is really going on in their lives. Thank you very much, Faith.
It's interesting you mentioned that, because I think that was my next, that exactly what you just said was going to be the next point in how abuse in marriages, how a lot of parents endure abuse in marriages. And yeah, I do understand that some marriages are strongly reliant on religious structure. Like as a Christian, I believe, regardless of what happens, two people should try to work things out and make it happen for the sake of the family, for the sake of the children. But also, you need to understand that if you are in a marriage where you're constantly physically abused and emotionally abused, you are not doing it any longer for your children. You are
Yes,
actually
ma'am.
putting them at a risk of being able to see the same thing in the future and thinking it is okay. And now,
Hmm.
this is not to encourage divorce. This is not to say, oh, you have to leave your husband right now. Or this is not to encourage any of that. But this is to explain the emotional trauma that comes with such background.
Hmm.
If something like that is happening in a family's place, there's no way a teenager would go out later and have a relationship whereby he or she experiences such abuse and think it is abnormal. Because if mom was going through it, if dad was going through it, that means, I mean, everybody's has to suffer, right? So, but
That's
if
true.
you stand up for your own protection, our host just said, Mrs. Tosi just said that that's what it means, that you start creating walls. You think you're creating walls so that you can earn the respect you think you deserve, but you need to
Hmm.
understand that when there's love in that relationship, there's love in that marriage, you don't have to work so hard to earn that respect and build all those walls. Respect comes in, it flourishes through the love you shows to your partner shows to you, and then it goes across to the children and the teenagers, who then grow up to be confident individuals. So first and foremost, in order for you not to bleed on people that did not cut you, you need to start checking the inside. How am I doing mentally? How am I doing inside? Somebody once asked me years ago, when I was narrating my life story, and she said, well, you don't look happy. I mean, how can you teach women how to be happy when you're not happy? So it's exactly the same thing in a marriage setting. How can you teach your teenagers to be happy, to be confident when you are not happy and when you are not confident? That's not possible. So yeah, definitely that's something very important to know, that I think a lot of teenagers want to see happen. I don't think any teenagers would prefer their parents to be in a marriage where every day they are breaking each other's head, stabbing each other's with knife and stuff. I think they would rather prefer if they are both at their safe distance, working on themselves to be better individuals and for the benefit of them. So yeah, that's something that is very important.
So what we are saying is that what you're saying is that it's essential for when there's a domestic violence in the home, parents should stop enduring nonsense, because it is arrant, it's typical nonsense for somebody to be beating you every day, and you stay there, and your
you say you're
children
doing it for
are
your children.
witnessing that, and you say you are doing it for your children. That
Children.
is nonsense.
Mm.
Because when you die, it's going to marry another person, and your children that you are doing it for, they are going to suffer for it.
Mm-hmm.
So you are saying, and there is something that you said that caught my attention. You said, so that these children don't bleed on people that did not cut them. That's very essential. Thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, and the next point is support. We should support teenagers. Parents should support teenagers. I think it happens a lot in a lot of families where teenagers grow up in family that offer no support. You find out that the extended family, I think it's a particular culture in Nigeria. I think one or two cultures in Nigeria. I'll be specific. I think the Yorubas and the Igbos does this a lot. When especially the Yorubas, when someone needs to go to school, most family, I don't want to generalize. Some people will come together. One uncle will say, I will sponsor you. I will put you in school. What do you need? Mr. AA needs have that. Or what do you want? Oh, I think somebody BC has that. Most of the support teenagers need to grow and be independent are in the family, but they are not being utilized. So
Mm,
instead of pushing teenagers outside to look for things that could be utilized in the family, parents should start, evaluating and checking out what they have. It doesn't always have to be money, because sometimes parents are like, well, I don't have money, or maybe it's the church you are attending. Maybe there's an auntie in the church or an uncle in the church, or maybe it's a meeting you go, women meeting. Somebody has that resources for that teenager. So when, like I said, when a child is born, he or she or they are born into a family before they become something. So that family has to be able to provide resources and support for that child going forward. And then that support goes all the way around, helping the next person. So do not just bring teenagers up and then you push them off into the world without, support, without, resources, without advice and mentorship, and expect that some stranger, yes, it happens. There are always strangers willing to help every day. It happens. I was helped by strangers, and families did not support me, which I think that shouldn't be the problem. That shouldn't
mm,
even be something we are talking about in 2020. Families should be able to support each other. So support, not always about money. It could be advice, it could be mentors, it could be connection to people. Start thinking of how to support that teenagers. Because I think a lot of people, you know, was it last 3 weeks I was in a heated debate with someone. We were talking about, we have, the rightness in children, in parents having expectation of their grown-up children. Should parents be asking money from their children? We know a lot of African parents, we do it a lot. We're like, I need my house rent. So hey, especially when you are in abroad or you are, somewhere out. So this has become pressure on some young adults. And I think their main concern is that most of them became who they had today, not because of the family supported them. You see some of the conversations saying, well, you guys did not even help me. You didn't send me to school. You didn't do anything. And now you're calling me. That's most of the pain. So, and I think that would be a different situation if I was to call my child in the UK and say, I don't have house rent. So, and then that kid is like, oh, I remember you once gave me the connection of, there has to be a way to support that child. You just cannot expect that you brought in a child into a family and expect somebody somewhere to take care of that for you. So support is very essential to, I think teenagers want their parents to know they want support. They want all kind of support that you can offer.
thank you so much. Now,
Yeah.
let's quickly say something here. Most parents, we always feel that the best thing that you could give a child is the formal education,
Mhm.
or we neglect the traditional education. Those education that you give that child in the first 1, 2, 3 years of their life will last so long, like forever. Like from age 1 to 3, you are building trust in them. You are building self-confidence in them. But these are the things that we don't give. From age 7 to like the adulthood, especially the adolescent, this teen age, they are expecting you to build them self-identity, help them to identify who they are. Because once they don't know who they are, because that's the age they want to know who they are, so that they won't be confused for the rest of their lives. That's why we have so many confused adults in our generation. Because why? They have missed the place of that teenage year where you are supposed to build confidence, self-identity in them. But here is the problem. Like you were saying, they look around for school fee. But meanwhile, there is something in that child that will provide the school fee. But they never explore it. They didn't allow that child because they are always shutting the child down. You can't, I hardly see African parents hug their children when we were growing up. Sometimes you want to hug them, they ask you not to allow them to fall down. Mag baby shubu, mag baby shubu. You know, that's what they do. Meanwhile, we are doing a lot for hugging these children. What about trust? Mommy, daddy will say, I'm coming back. Daddy won't come back. In the next 2 days, daddy is not back. But daddy will just, because you thought you were trying to tease the child. You thought you were trying to, just escape. It's not so. So if we build trust, the emotional support is very critical in the life of a child. If we support them emotionally, if we help them identify their gifts, their talents, the money you are going out to look for from that uncle, that auntie, that mommy somewhere is inside those children. You know, that thing touched me when you said that support, the first support is in the family. But we're not giving it. We're always looking outside. And the truth is, the real education is not this Western education. The real education is that education you give to the child to survive in life. The confidence, the self-assurance, the self-esteem. But parents are busy killing those virtues and values, and we are concentrating on the Western education. That needs to change, and I appreciate you for bringing that up.
Yes, that has to change. You made me laugh when you said about how when they hug moms are like, I think
them.
It has to change, because I think people, teenagers' first role models, any child first role models are the parents. So you realize that most of the parents that are always avoiding close, touch, embrace with their children is because they also grew up from families where, why would you hug your mother? That is so weird in Nigeria, why would you, for what? For what? And there's this memes, I think it's going around, about how African parents react differently to things and how they apologize. It's very rare to find an African mother said, I'm sorry, I was wrong. It's never happens. Like, maybe they would do something else, like cook a rice and stew and chicken for you. I tell you, you want to save your money, let me keep it for you. But they would, I'm sorry, is such a word that never really easily comes out of an African parent. And I think they do that because I wish I know why. I'm trying to think why they do that. But I also, honestly. And also the other one is I love you. You would never hear an African say I love you as how. love you as how, it's so troubling that you realize that children grow up in a situation where they do not know how to express emotions because their parents do not express it. It's just what is happening now. Definitely we need to start showing that humanness in us. It's supposed to happen. We're human beings. You're supposed to talk to your children, hug them so tight. The reason why a lot of young girls get into wrong relationship is because the very first guy that tell them I love you, it's like, wow, somebody loves
like
me.
Somebody loves me. Like, for real. I have to, in my secondary school, there was this guy that was sitting behind me or something. I really can't remember. But I think he was sitting behind me or something. on my birthday that I've never received a card from any of my family member. This guy gave me a card on my birthday. I was like, wow. And he wrote a lot of things and all that and all that. Funny enough, he never said he wanted to date me. He never said he wanted to have anything to do. He just did it. And it's so amazing. Like, maybe they were taught in their Sunday school to do that or something, because at that time I was in GSS3. He was attending a Pentecostal church, and that was all. Well, I've not seen him in like maybe 20 years or thereabouts now. I've not, but that memory never lived in me. I'm like, somebody loved me. It's amazing. It's amazing. That has to change. And that's, I don't joke with that word with my children. I love you, baby. I love my baby. I love my mommy. It's very essential. Very, very essential. Very essential.
Very essential. When they hear it a lot, it will be easy to avoid fake I love you.
Exactly. It's easy. Very much more easy.
All right. So the other point I think teenagers really wish their parent knows is, especially with the young people I've worked with, is that most parents, after they've had failed dreams, push all those dreams on their children. You know, where you hear people say, which I think they mean it to be good thing, when they say, where I fail, you will make it, and that's okay. There's really nothing wrong. It's a positive comment. Where I did not succeed, you would succeed. But then it becomes so like a pressure, like, because my father did not do it, I have to do it. I have to kill myself and make this happen. And so we need to redirect that positive, statement. We have to change it to, where I failed, you would do it, but with your dreams. You don't need to push your dreams, your failed dreams, or your future plans that did not work out for you on that child. You need to realize that when God created everyone, God gave everyone their individual dreams. And there's nothing wrong if your teenage youth or whatever has to take over the company or take over the parents' business. That is beautiful. It's actually very good to keep something for your kids to do, for them to get engaged while they are discovering themselves. But if they do not want to do it, that shouldn't be a pressure. They would succeed regardless on that destiny they've been called to become. So I think parents should really stop doing that. I wanted to be a tailor. I cannot be a tailor, but I think you should be a tailor. You have to be a tailor. Or my grandfather was a medical doctor, so next week you're going to go to medical school. We need to start asking, even before we offer all these unsolicited recommendations. We should start asking our teenagers, what do you want to do? What are your interests? And also, aside from asking, some teenagers don't really know what they want to do. They are confused. So instead of asking, observe them. When you build a relationship with your teenage kids, or you would realize what their potentials are, and you would be able to match that with what you have, which is the resources we just talked about. Like, if somebody was in love writing music scripts or whatever, and you realize that somebody in the family once was into music, maybe that person is who is going to connect that guy or that person. So we should stop pushing all our dreams and expect that our children will fulfill them for us.
That's very essential.
It was our dream, and they have their own dream to live, to be successful in that dream that they've been called to.
That's very essential. And let me quickly say this. So I've had the interview of this woman. I hope we know Funke Akindele. Funke Akindele is actually a lawyer, and she's into acting, and she's really doing well. I'm sure probably if she has gone into, the law practices, we wouldn't have had her name. And I need parents to know this. One of the reasons why you keep repeating that lifestyle in your lineage is because you don't break away from the norms. For greatness to happen in your generation, you must break away from the norms. When Funke Akindele went to her mom that she wants to go into acting, the mother agreed. Because why? The woman said, well, if that is what you want to go into, I desired it, but it doesn't work for me. Go ahead. And the mother was really in support. Remember, they've spent a lot of money on her going into, studying law, but they never mind. I don't know if you are following AY. There was this day he posted on his Instagram that his daughter said that we should deliver him from his daughter, that his daughter said she wanted to be a photographer. This is a child that they are spending lots of millions to send to a secondary school. But the girl is telling the mother, and I'm seeing the traces already. There were times that the girl will, just do a small skit and direct the father, Daddy, oh yeah, go up, say something, stand there. She's been encouraged already. So it's essential that we allow those children to be who they want to be. If you really want to break the norms and allow your children to be exceptional, you must be willing to break the norms. It's very, very essential. And that starts also from that childhood. When you are looking at your child, if you are the type that is very close to your toddlers, you would have seen who they will be. You would have seen who they will be. But because people are busy, because men, people have issues with their life already. They are not able to focus on these children. And remember, these children didn't call you, you called them. So you must be willing to give all it takes to know who. It's part of the responsibility, and it's very, very essential. Very, very essential. Thank you so much.
Definitely, thank you. It's essential to allow everyone to live their dreams. When I was growing up, right from when I was a very little child, I always liked writing and reading, and regardless of everything that went well and that did not go well between me and my parents, which is my dad, and whenever I remember that he supported me, my dad was proud of me writing. When I was in secondary school, which we call high school here in the US, when all the kids were going to the science department, then science department was like your parent wants you to be in science department. And I told my dad that, I love writing, I'll do the art. My dad was like, go for it. It's okay.
No way.
Your art.
Awesome.
So yes, I was surprised.
Awesome.
That's something my heart melts about my dad. He allowed me. He really gave. He told everyone my child writes, I read book, and that's okay. And that so we really have to. And when my dad calls me now and say, things are somehow in Nigeria, I'm like, oh yes, definitely. He supported that dream, and he did not pressurize me.
Yes.
So we should do that. If we love our children, we should give them that chance to be themselves.
That's true.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. The other point, definitely. Thank you. The other point is on sex education. And if you would excuse me, I would just grab my charger now. I'm just going to put off my video and grab my charger, but I'll keep talking just right.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. So the next point is on sex education. Give me a second.
All right. Sex education. And that is something that most parents don't want to talk about. I really don't know why parents don't want to talk about it. When it comes to the issue of sex education, parents don't want to talk about it. And I'm just wondering what exactly is biting them from saying that. Do you know 2 days yesterday or 2 days ago, my daughter asked me, Mommy, I want to ask you a foolish question. I said, okay, go ahead. I mean, there's always a sense in every nonsense. Go ahead and ask me the foolish question. How do you and my daddy kiss? I'm sure there's more to that, but I showed her. So,
Mm-hmm.
so and I think there's more to what she was saying. So
Mm-hmm.
I have to start taking time to teach her extra, because I've always been
Mm,
teaching them sex education from age 3, age 2, 1. Once
mm,
you touch your eyes, touch
mm-hmm.
your nose, your private parts, they are
Mm-hmm.
private to you.
Mm.
All right.
Definitely. Yes, sex education is something very important, and this can apply to any country across the world. A lot of parents shy away from talking about sex, reproduction, and all these important topics that we should be talking about, especially with the female children. And for my experience was, I'll just share from a personal experience growing up. I grew up not knowing anything about sex. Of course, African parents don't want you to know these things. They're like, no, no, no,
Mm-mm.
no, you shouldn't know these things, you get spoiled. And then I when I had my first menstruation, and I was like, what is this thing? Did I fall off something? Did I break? Why am I why is blood? I thought I was in trouble. I thought I was the one in trouble. And I was like, oh, I'm in trouble for maybe I fell off somewhere, maybe something happened to me. And then I felt the urge to hide it, to hide that I'm seeing blood in my body, which is natural. And then I remember somebody, a neighbor, because I did not grow up with a motherly love. So I remember a neighbor, a female neighbor, when I went to her, I was like, I don't know, I did not do anything wrong. I did not fall off, but I saw blood. And she was like, it's okay. So it's normal. It's natural. You're of the age. And I also did not know how to use the pad. So I would see on commercials that people would, use blue liquid and pour on a pad. And I was like, why do I need to pour a blue liquid on this thing before I use it? And isn't that even a very
Mm.
disturbing reality that a girl
Yes.
child in a family doesn't know about menstruation?
Mm.
Let's say you're learning about it in school, biology, but it's
Mm.
different from experiencing it. It's an
Mm.
emotional, experience where you need your parents to open up with love to help you through that new journey of womanhood. And this is the reality of most people. This is the reality of most young girls growing up, especially in African homes where they have period, they feel like they have to hide it, or their parents would blame them. Somebody once told me how after our first period came very early, the first question our mother asked her was, "Did somebody touch you first?" Well, what are you kidding me? So, sex education is something we should be talking about with teenagers. When you don't
Yes.
tell you need to realize that teenagers are curious. They want to know things. Like you said, Mrs. Tosin, your daughter was asking you how do you and daddy kiss. My daughter would ask me, how did you have me? Where do babies come from? And like, what did you do to have me? Was your stomach big? These are curious questions. They are innocent
Yeah.
questions. They want
Mhm.
to know. They are human beings. They are not stones. They want to know how the world is
Yes.
created. They
And
want
they
to know
have
if
the right to.
they have the right to know. Every human being have a right to understand how our world works, the complexities and everything. But then you see that parents are like shying away from it. They're like, when you get of age, you understand. It's your duty to let them understand. You need
It is.
to realize that when you don't talk about these things, sex, reproduction, and all of these important things, somebody else outside would do it, and in a wrong
Yes,
way.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So you need to talk about this. You need to talk. In African homes, when you're growing up in an African home, your mother will tell you once you're in your period. For those who had mothers, I don't want to generalize. Not everyone had that opportunity to have a mom. Your mother will tell you now that you're seeing your period. Even if the boy touch you, when you're pregnant, what does it mean to touch? Can we break that down? Can we be more
Can we
specific?
open it?
Can we talk about it? What do you mean by touched? Is it just touching? Some people, and then Nollywood was bringing movies about girls freaking out when boys just touch their hands. Like touch is different. What do you mean by touch? There's nothing wrong. There's no shame in sitting your teenage daughter down and say, "Hey, let's talk about reproduction. Let's talk about sex education. Let's talk about how babies are made. Let's talk about sex itself." And the important, when they have this information, it's very easy for them to avoid things that might come up in the future and become a challenge when it comes to sex. So let's start talking about, instead of criticizing and rebuking and calling them names and like, oh, why are you doing that? The reason why a lot of teenagers watch porn is watching what adults are indulged in. Of course, everyone knows what porn is. It's because of, I think sometimes it's due to curiosity. They want to
Yes.
know what happened. This would shock you. I did not know. I remember when I was in secondary school or high school, as we call it here in the US, is I thought babies came out of the woman anus.
Can
I
you
thought that's
imagine?
where babies came out. And one of my friend in class would tell me, no, how can babies come out of the? I was like, no, babies come out of the anus. She was like, no, it's not from the anus. It's actually from the other side. And then we had to bet, and I was like, well, we would not know, right? Because there's no adult that we would
Oh.
shamelessly confront with the question. And I did not know until I was pregnant with my daughter that babies indeed comes out of the front. Isn't that a shame? Isn't that really a shame
Hmm.
that these things are something our curiosity is driving us to classrooms to talk about, where we should have
Hmm.
parents who shamelessly sit down and talk about this thing? If you do not give that information, who else would give it to
Who
them?
else?
So that is something I think teenagers want to know. It is not a shame to say that we
Very,
had
very
sex,
essential.
you know,
Very, very
you
essential.
know.
I can come in here a little bit here. I remember that there's this family that I normally spend my holidays with. And these people, they have lots of girls in their house. So even from my primary school, I was going to get into the secondary school when I've met this family. I met them around maybe 1992, 1991, 1992. That was when I met this family. And, you know, in 1993, I got into GSS 1. And this family, anytime I spent my holidays with them, they always show me love, you know. They always show me love. They always, okay, okay. So they always show me love. They always try to do as much as they can for me, you know. So it was an amazing thing that this family, it was through them that I learned menstruation. It was through them that I learned how to menstruate. So when it was time that the menstruation actually came, you know, much later. Then when I told my mom said, well, now if you get pregnant, I'm going to give you one gown and one wrapper. I'm like, are you for real? Like, are you serious? Like, so, but I understand that this is what they know. So they can only give what they have, you know, they can only give what they have. And it's amazing that if we don't teach these children these things, another person will. And one other thing from some young girls that I work with at a time, I remember when they ask me that they want to introduce me to a man, I always tell them, no, don't introduce me to a man. Why did I say that? Because I don't want to get pregnant. Because when I get pregnant, my mommy will give me one gown and one wrapper and send me away. Now, those girls, do you know their response? They said, no, even if you get pregnant, we will show you where to remove it.
That's it.
Parents
That's
need
it.
to be parents need to be careful. Is
That's
that the
it.
problem? We will show you where to remove it. And they
That's
begin
it.
to mention how many they have removed and who they have removed. Even 8 months pregnancy, even 5 months pregnancy. Parents need to wake up. And I hope there's no
Yeah.
parents in this 20th century that is doing that. In this 21st century, I hope parents are not still doing this
You'll be
this
surprised. You'll be surprised it's still there.
mm, mm, mm.
Yes, definitely. It's yeah, kids are teenagers are becoming smarter than parents. They are not relying on. I think it's interesting that you said how after you learned more about menstruation and you went back home and your mom was like, "If you get pregnant," because and you said they can only give what they know, the aggressive kind of love. that aggressive love. They
Yeah.
don't. It's not
It's what they
subtle, but it's
know.
like it's what they
It's what they
know,
know.
and it's working for some people. Some people are like, ah, my mom was this, and that's why I'm responsible, and that's okay. I like to really acknowledge the difference in cultural upbringings. I know it's not the same with the Western. You know, some people, the love language in different families are different. The way it's done in the US is quite different from how it's done in a Nigerian home or in
Exactly.
other family home. But as long as that child understand that you love them genuinely, and I think that's what's important. But we should really talk about sex education. We should really talk about these things so that adult curiosities do not teenagers' curiosities do not drive them to where it becomes a regret in the future. So
Let me
another,
quickly
okay, yeah.
add one thing to what you just said. So you mentioned that they need to understand. And I think this is basically for everyone. You are an entrepreneur. The foundation of any business is for you to know why. If a business is going to last, if Family Life Builders TV is going to last, is because I have the why. So we have the why, we know the reason, because we have the mandate from God to rebuild homes and transform society. And as long as that mandate remains, Family Life Builders continue. So when these children know the why should a man not sleep with you? Why should you not sleep with a man? A man should not sleep with you because if you get pregnant, your education will be affected. You will be delayed for a while. It might slow down so many things. Of course, and we should, parents, please, I'm speaking directly to parents now. Stop throwing baby away with the water. If your child gets pregnant, don't throw them away. Still keep them. Their life continues. That should not end their life. That should not end their career. However, when we tell them, why should you not even in the first place be involved in sex, is because you want to forever maintain a positive memories. So that when you grow older and sit down in that chair, you don't start wishing, I wish Kunle never touched me. I wish Bola never touched me. I wish I never touched Bola. I wish I never touched Kunle and all that. I'm just giving an example. But it's essential because of your memory. And because you are a royal priesthood, you are a royalty, you are a queen, you deserve a man that will put you on the bed on your marriage night. We just need to let them know the why. Once these children knows the why, every other thing becomes easy. And the why must come from the place of love. Thank you very
and
much. Thank you
and
so much.
just to add to that, and I think both of parents of both genders, female and male, should be responsible for this upbringing.
Yes.
Because I think sometimes the pressure is more on the girl
On
child.
the
Don't do
girls,
this, you will
like,
get pregnant. Don't do that, you do that. But we also need to talk to the boys. Do not touch.
yes, yes,
It's
ma'am.
not yet time. So start talking to your boy child as much as we are talking to the girl's child. Talk
Yes,
to your
ma'am.
boy's child, because if it's coming from both sides, the weight is easy to pull. You can't keep criticizing one child and then the other one is still free to do the same thing you're criticizing the other about. So
Mm,
we need to talk to both genders. The male child, if you're not ready to be a
yes.
father, if you're not ready to be a parent, do not
The
touch
baby
the
you
girl.
can't pay for,
Do not
don't go
touch the girl.
into. Mm,
Do not, and be specific. So let's put that weight, because it's always about the girl this, the women this. Now we have to change that conversation and include the boys
yes.
and tell them
Yes,
what they
ma'am.
should be doing right in that aspect. Yes,
Yes.
definitely.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right, I have three more points on this.
Awesome.
It's been so I'll try to like rush over it because it's been such
Okay.
an interesting live video. I'm really enjoying this a lot. And the
Yes,
other
me
point
too.
is pressure on marriage. So when
Okay.
a young lady, again, this is where the gender bias comes in. When a young lady is of a teenage age, the mom starts sending subtle messages like, in 5 years, so Mrs. Skinny Corn child is is seeing somebody, they will be married soon. And you really need, especially African parents, you seriously need to stop doing that. Majority, and I hate to use this statistics, loosely, but 85%, maybe 95%, and I would hate to be mistaken, 95% of broken homes and marriages are due to pressure. Maybe that lady did not want to marry that man. Maybe she saw signs. Maybe she knew this would not end well. Maybe that man did not want to marry that lady. Maybe he saw signs. Maybe he knew this would not end well. But because of what would people say? What would society say? What would my mom said? My mom said I have to come home with a wife this Christmas period. My mom said I have to bring a husband. You need to stop pushing deadlines on your children. You have to be very respectful of their own timeline. Let them get married whenever they want to get married. Let them. It's really totally fine. That's what respect is all about. Yes, it is okay to tell someone, well, what are your plans? Do you want to go to school, graduate, get a job? Are you thinking of marriage and everything? But then when it becomes a pressure, that is when it becomes a burden and a problem. That is when we start having broken homes and broken marriages and emotional trauma there and there, domestic violence. We want to avoid that. So teenagers, and I think this is something that is the most important point in today's section. Stop pushing deadlines about marriage, about babies, about all those things. It is their life. You need to be respectful of that. Yes, they are your teenagers, they're your children, but you also need to realize that it is your life. You did not create them, you brought them to the world, but somebody above created them and has a plan for them. So whenever they want to get married, if they want to get married at the age of 30 years old, that's totally okay. Everybody have different timeline. If they want to get married at the age of 35, that is okay, as long as they're finding, as long as they want to. So I think we should really change that, narrative of having parents remind their female children, especially female children. I don't think male kids go through this. You find a single male man of maybe 40 years old, and it's like, well, anytime it comes, it comes. But the female child is not even up to 30 years old, and the pressure is mounting, and parents are like, you're getting to that age. Next 5 years, you're going to get to that age. You want to start bringing someone home. Let us stop pressurizing teenagers. Let them, and this, I know this does not really apply to most of the Western world, because in the US, for example, I don't think parents care. Whenever you're ready, you can bring. I would hate to be wrong, but I think that's what's happening in the US a lot. But in African homes, that's not the situation. I have a lot of friends that are in their 30s, and sometimes I go through their Facebook wall, and people are very disrespectful, coming on their comments and telling them, "Madam, your time is running out." That is disrespectful. So as a family, you want to stand by that teenager. You want them to be truly happily married. What we call happily married is something that can be achieved as long as you don't pressure them into the wrong marriages, into the wrong relationship. Let them make that decisions on their own.
That's true.
And another point is morals, which I think we already talked about this. I think which is the last one. We almost talk about everything. Another point is the morals and how we use religion as an excuse for everything. And I think it's something teenagers are really not happy about. How when we should be talking about things we should be talking about, but parents are like, well, God does not want you to do this, God does not want you to do that. I think that is very manipulative of parents to always do consistent. I don't think God himself is happy with parents doing that. So I think parents should stop using God as an excuse. You are not God. If you are going to even quote a Bible verses or something, do it with and read exactly what that message interprets. Stop quoting wrong passages. Stop using God as an excuse and say, God wants you to do this, God wants you to do that. It is becoming a friend of mine will say it's becoming unbecoming.
Unbecoming.
It's becoming unbecoming. So please let us really stop this manipulative tactic of using God as an excuse. I think it's also very disrespectful on God as a creator for you to use that as an excuse to oppress your teenagers, to say God wanted you to do this, God wants you to protect me, God wants you to do that. God, what you can do is to teach that teenager what God indeed says, what the Bible says, and also be respectful that they will draw from that Bible verse or from that religion their own meaning. that it applies to them. It's something that I think we really need to start. So that's just the point of this last point. Stop using God as an excuse for everything, because that is why
Very essential.
most people don't go to churches anymore, because they have a disturbing childhood when their parent would force God on their neck. You want them to discover God for themselves while you're guiding them in truth and honesty, and not using God as an excuse to oppress them and let them have traumas later in the future and all of that. That's if you're a Christian, of course. And also if you're a Muslim, really, religion should be something that unites, something that brings us closer to our creator, and not something that pushes us further. It's not something that should be manipulated. It's not something that should be joked about by parents. If you want your teenagers to respect your religion, to respect the God you serve, you have to lead by that example, by also being that person who respects God and not just throwing God's name for every little thing that doesn't really apply to the word of God or to the Quran or whatever religion that appeals to you. But yes, that is the point. That's what I think teenagers, the important things I think teenagers really wish parents know on this beautiful Children's Day week.
Thank you so much. And let me
Thank
quickly
you.
add this. One of the challenge why, or one of the reason why religion becomes a problem in many homes is because most parents don't even know God themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this is the truth. If you can't fake it, those children will find out the truth. Because you just finished beating your wife and then your kids are fighting. You are asking them not to beat each other. You're contradicting. So the children follows what you do, not what you say. It's about what you do. And we need to see, is a relationship. When your children sees you have a relationship with God as your father. One of my friends came into my inbox and was asking me about parenting yesterday. And I said, parenting is about you having relationship with God and transferring that relationship you have with God to your children. Because God don't always scold you for all those bad things you do. But we always want to scold our children for everything they do. God always draw us back in love.
In love.
These children, you hardly want to draw them back in love. When they see how beautiful your relationship with your God is, they want to serve that your God. You won't force them. They know the truth, and the truth will set them free. When they see the truth that you've shown to them, that you are doing that truth is what will guide them and set them free too. Because we want to give what we don't have. That is where we have problems on religion and morals with children. My children, personally, many secular songs, I don't listen to them. But recently, I was home and, then my son was teaching me Bese. I don't care. He was teaching me Bese. I danced it with him because he wasn't really playing the music. I don't know where he got that from, maybe from the radio or something. I don't know. But he was saying Bese, something, I don't know. But I now realized that it was actually a Christian song, but they just sang it that way. Gbe body, something, gbe body or something. He was just teaching me, this is gbe body. So the truth is, if I tell him, no, don't sing that song. No, don't do gbe body. If I'm not there, will he not do it? Why don't I? Because training children has to come with the help of the Holy Spirit. There are some things they won't do it. Even when they do it, it won't last. Because you have sown a seed of righteousness in them from the life you are living yourself. That is the problem with morals and religion. Parents are doing different things and they are expecting their children to do the right thing. It doesn't work that way. That's hypocrisy. The same thing goes with religion as well. It is very, 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 very important that we show these children how to love, give them understanding. What are the spirits behind those songs you are singing? You need to know what's the inspiration. Once you let them know, they will obey you. And when they know that, children recognize it when you love them. Even when you don't have money to give them, they know. And they won't forget it. They won't forget it. I really want to appreciate you. One last thing you want to tell the young people and parents as
First, first and foremost, happy Children's Day. I know we're a
yes,
little bit
yes,
late
yes,
to the
yes, yes,
party.
yes, yes,
Happy Children's Day
Happy
every
Children's
year.
Day.
Every year we get to celebrate amazing young people, and it makes me feel young all the time. I'm not old,
Yes,
but
so
the more older you grow, you realize that there's something about something really graceful about every little person on earth, and that cannot, of course, have been possible without the grace of God. I am a Christian. I believe in God, and I know He created all the beautiful children across the world in His own image, which means that they are all lovely. They are all destined to be great in one way or the other. So my last comments, or my last, I don't like to say advice, because advice is like asking you have to take this, but of course you don't have to. So my last comment is that yes, we just talked about how parents should be doing well with their kids and bringing them together with love and with grace and respect. We also want teenagers across the world to be more respectful to their parents. I believe that the Bible wants us to honor our parents regardless of their imperfections, and they are not perfect. So teenagers should also express the love that they wish to see in their parents towards their parents. And it's okay to correct your parents if they are wrong. Remember, you are the future, which means this is your time. Most of the things parent knew were from back in the day. So it's sometimes it's okay to bring them, to update them, to say, well, that's no more happening. This is what is
yes,
happening
mommy.
now. It is, walk along with them into this new age. This is why they had you, so that when it's your time, you can tell them what they told you when it was their time. So be more respectful and be a little bit more loving and, tolerating of our parents. And then for the parents, I think it's important that we should continuously be role models. When I mean models, I use that word strictly, which means when you know that you're a role model to someone, you know that that person is watching every step you take, and they're drawing inspiration or motivation from that step. And if that step means being happy, that's enough.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
If there's
Thank you,
anything
Mrs.
I'd love to,
Tosin.
I
Let's
appreciate
let's
you
let's
so much.
celebrate Mrs. Tosin. A round of applause for Mrs. Tosin.
Thank you so much, my lady. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
you. And
Thank
if
you
there's
so much.
anything that I want to let parents and children know, somebody said the reason why we have two ears and one mouth is so that we can listen more.
Mhm.
We must both come to a platform, a point of equilibrium where parents will listen more and children will listen more. If we
Mhm.
all can listen, everyone that rise higher in life, uh, Bishop Oyedepo said that everyone who fly higher in life, they fly by instruction. Even we as God's children, if we don't listen to instructions, it will be difficult to fly higher. Same thing applies to parents. You must listen if you want to fly higher in every areas of your life, in parenting, in finances, every area. And children must also listen, respectfully present what is wrong, what you feel is wrong, and
Mhm.
most of the time accept each other. Parents accept your children. Children accept your parents. You don't have any
Yes.
other parent. You don't have any other family. You can't change them. So just accept one another. I thank you so much. Where can people find you? Where can they find your books?
Oh, my books. So, you can most. I'm actually working on my memoir, so it's not yet out for a
Okay.
while. But
Awesome.
when it's out, definitely I think everyone would know about it. But my name is Kate Ekanem, and you can find me on Instagram as Kate Ekanem, which is the Ekanem is Ekanem, and then
Okay.
Kate
I put it
Kate
in the
Ekanem.
box.
Oh yeah, so there you go. So it's connect with me, share your thoughts, ask questions, and let us just continue to learn together. But you can also follow what Icon, which is the organization that I run online. It's called Inspire Community Network, and we did exactly what Mrs. Tosi said from the beginning: empower communities, empowers girls, especially from rural communities. So follow us, keep in touch, let us know what's going on in your communities, let us know how we can help. We're here to help and to work with girls that have stories and they want the platform to tell that story and also be empowered with opportunities. So definitely keep in touch, reach out to me, and thank you for being here with us. And when my book is out, please do get it. And but I think you can find some of my works online on a lot of some website like that. So if you just search for Kate Ekanem writings or something, that should come up. Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. Thank you so much, Kate.
Thank
I
you. Thank you,
appreciate you.
Mrs.
I
Toast.
love
Thank
you. God
you. I
bless you.
love you too.
Oh,
God
thank
bless
you,
you,
my
man.
viewers. God bless you. Thank you
Thank
for
you,
staying with
everyone.
us. We appreciate you. Keep
Thank you,
changing, keep
guys.
becoming a better you. And children,
Mhm.
we love
Happy
you.
Children's Day. Bye bye.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.